This is my commute to work. It's brutal. When I saw some old logging cable right beside a cedar tree, I was amazed at how similar the texture of the logging cable was to the bark. And I love the contrast of logging cable being something that we harvest the forest with and making a tree out of it. This is the outside of the stump, very bark-like texture, and inside we'll have a cedar bench inside here, and the inside of the tree will all be lined with cedar. And so, yeah, you'll be able to sit down inside and it'll all be nice and smooth, just like the inside of a hollow cedar stump.
Ah, right on. We haven't sat here before. This would be good. I've been sculpting outside of timber framing has been 15 years. Most time it's been abstract wooden pieces until SculptureWalk came around, and then wood doesn't do so well in the outdoors. So concrete and steel is my new thing. I think it's encouraging to put your hands on. Although I've got a gloved hand, but I think it's great.
So the sculpture is called Regeneration. It's a celebration of the forest, and so out of this giant cedar stump made out of logging cable, there's going to be a small nurse tree coming out 3 or 4 feet tall. This is the initial frond, and then there'll be a group of smaller fronds that get welded onto the steel branch. So we're just about to pour another frond.
2,400 degrees. This is what we used to make the cedar fronds. They were pilfered fire hydrant caps, but it's a long story, and I
thought you got them from the dump.
Yeah,
Why
I
don't
got
we
them
just
from
say
the
that they're
dump.
from the
I
dump?
got them from the dump. This is talcum powder. That's as a release for the molten brass.
Making metal molten and then pouring it into something that I've carved and being able to reproduce that and then add it to something, it's to me, it's magic. It's like alchemy. I've really only been doing the public art, like the large sculpture pieces, for about 5 years now. It is the creation process for me, whether it's making a garden or making a meal, building a house, or making a sculpture. It's the act of creating something that really I get my rocks off. Like it's just, I feel so alive when I'm creating. This is us experimenting. We haven't taken any courses in foundry pouring metal, but it seems to be pretty just straightforward. So that's the back end, and we'll just pop it out. Because we're such good friends, I just thought it would be neat to collaborate on a piece. So there's another frond.
To take on a project this big, I'd rather do it with Spring than without him. I think Spring's got heaps of energy and show up every day.
And I'm a dreamer. I'm like, yeah, definitely fly by the seat of my pants. Just like I get an idea and I'm just gonna do this. Where Christopher is very practical and everything has to line up. We have to do this, this, and this before we get to that. And that's how, this is what's gonna support that. We're having to add pieces in because the flare of the stump is so much wider than the top. This is the piece that Christopher will be cutting me right now on a nice long steep angle.
Achtung, baby! I think steel's fantastic. You can apply it and create something that was not intended, you know, and then it can be an amazing thing because you can manipulate it. Here's the cut one, and we'll apply it to the piece, and then add the silicon bronze wire afterwards.
If you push just right there, yeah. Hold it. We're just learning this whole process. We've never really welded before, we're just practicing.
Working with 1,300 feet of logging cable, it's a bit of by gosh and by golly. When I think of people coming and seeing Regeneration, I would want them to, first off, recognize it. I think that most people will have stood in awe of a little tree growing out of a veteran stump.
I'd like people to walk away with an interactive interaction with a piece. Like a lot of art, you're not encouraged to touch. With this, we're encouraging people not just to touch, but to sit down, relax, to experience the piece.